listening to the MercTown Underground, produced by MercTown Studios. And now your hosts, SLB and Merc.
It's 3 in the morning, it's late, we're on energy drinks. This is MercTown Underground. Welcome back.
Guys, I'm the SLB.
And this is, of course, Merc.
We have an interesting show for you. A little shorter lineup. We don't have to ramble like we did last time, but we're going to hop right into the weekend roundup tonight. We got a lot of exciting topics to talk to you
What
about.
did you do this weekend?
This weekend was a fascinating weekend for me personally. With Laughing Wolf Studios, we've officially filmed our first short film that will be shown at a CCRI film festival in May.
Congrats.
Thanks. Yeah, my buddy Dave Arnold, the co-founder of Laughing Wolf, he filmed and did all the cinematography. And the next week or so, I'll be doing my own. Hopefully, you'll be around to kind of help with that one. It's going to be a small cast, but it's going to be, hopefully get us off the ground in the film side of things.
The film side of things. Side I'm not as interested in. I actually went on a ghost hunt recently, like a official one, like a real one.
With who?
My friends, Josh and his roommate, Dean.
Where at?
A house.
Was it interesting, or was it kind of like watching South Park?
I honestly didn't expect much, but actually some weird shit did happen. We will probably release something, because we actually did catch some video evidence. Some weird shit actually did happen, so... Yeah, I don't want to talk about it right now till we've been able to review it. I don't want to jump to conclusions, but there was some weird shit. Way more than I expected. I didn't expect anything.
Well, I want to clarify that the liquid leaking out your leg was pee. It wasn't like any, ectoplasm from a ghost.
It was brown, though.
I mean, if you're peeing like you're... well... Did you eat Taco Bell the night before? Because that's usually what happens.
You know, I think I actually did have a burrito from Taco Bell.
Yeah, and if you're hunting ghosts, guess what? Yeah. So...
Actually, I spent most of the weekend doing research on that suicide coaster you mentioned last week.
Really? Enlighten us.
I just want to tell you, everyone, that that's a really, really bad idea. So basically, this guy wants to make this giant roller coaster that's like 4 times taller than the tallest roller coaster we have, because that will be fine in the wind. That won't topple over the first time a hurricane comes through. No, it'll be fine. So basically, you go up this hill that is very, very tall. It's about a mile, actually, straight up. And everyone has to hit the green button. If not, you go down the hill. Whoever the hell wants to get off of it gets off of it. And then you go back up this mile-long hill until you have a synonymous green button from everyone riding this thing, supposedly. And then it drops you. I'm sure the drop itself is pretty fun. It's supposed to hit pretty close to 300 miles an hour.
Yeah, I saw that.
And then you go around these loops, and they get smaller and smaller to keep the G-force up around, I think, 10 Gs, they said, which basically makes your brain shut down after a prolonged period of time, and you die happily. But then, because this guy is from, Germany or Austria, and this very thick accent, starts talking about population control and other things that make me a little nervous.
Yeah, population control, that's always a fascinating topic when you're building roller coasters. That's a very popular topic among engineers.
I think this guy is a fucking whack job, personally.
I mean, the idea of having something like that that's reusable? I mean, granted, who wants to have the job on the other end of that coaster?
There's probably a lot of piss.
Now, I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about we're going to rip them off and bring them to the fucking morgue.
I mean, I guess you get to check their wallets first.
You could.
That might be the one benefit. That sounds like a terrible job. Not to mention, do you paint it? Is it like a dark roller coaster with grim, or do you put a flame stripe on it? How do you paint the suicide coaster? I want to know.
I don't know. It'll be fascinating to know if this actually happens. I watched the video, and I just saw him have it all designed, and just, the craziest people in the world are sometimes the smartest, and that kind of scares me.
He had me till he mentioned population control, and then it got me nervous. but I don't know.
I mean, the Germans have a history of that. So,
I want to ride the thing on the hill down, but I don't want to do the loops and die because it looks kind of fun.
it does look kind of, I mean, it's, from my understanding, the coaster itself drops straight down. Well, not straight down, but pretty much drops down. And then there's these massive loops. And that's all it is. And then it just goes around.
I think it's 8 loops.
Is it 8?
It's a huge drop, and then, I think 8 loops.
Nevertheless,
It's a fascinating subject, and that's why we're talking about it. You should definitely do your own research about it.
yeah, it's definitely something, if you're into that kind of, eugenics and euthanasia kind of topics, you're into that thing, not suggesting, you should be into that kind of thing. But if you're interested in studying it, I would advise to kind of look into something like this. Just weird. Just the stuff that people come up with these days.
I think we need a happier topic.
We do need a happier topic. I did have a couple job interviews this weekend. Yeah, I had a couple of them. Sales, door-to-door. A lot of people saying, door-to-door sales. The worst part about them is I have to wear a polo for one of them if I get it. Which I hate fucking polos. So that kind of brings us... I'd rather be on the coaster instead of the polo, to be honest with you.
At least it'll be a fun way to die.
Yeah, do I want to die in a polo? I don't think so.
I also was wondering, most people are going to die, but if they ever build this and it's that one motherfucker that just won't die.
There might be. Maybe this helps further a step in evolution somehow when man somehow can handle that much pressure. And geez, it's far-fetched theory, but who knows? We're always adapting, we're always growing, we're always evolving. We've been on the earth for way too long.
Well, much like the Red Bull X1, the fake car that Gran Turismo made.
Yeah.
They said this is the fastest car that's possible to make, although it would cost millions, if not billions of dollars to produce. But no one could drive it because the G-force would kill you.
Oh, that was the one in Gran Turismo.
It's called the Red Bull X1.
How fast does that go?
That car probably can do 400, but it's not a real car.
No, it's probably best it's not a real car. If you're traveling into space, that's where you kind of take that, that into consideration. So weekends were a little, maybe not as exciting as last week. Kind of a little exciting.
I heard you were on a bath salt binge.
Not really. Kind of cut back. Trying to lose
liar.
some weight.
Fucking liar.
But this week is really exciting.
Is it?
Tomorrow night, or this week, we're going to see Dream Theater.
We are.
Again. For me, this is my 9th time. I saw them 10 years ago for my first time, and I've seen them almost every year since. And this is exciting. I'm excited. I know you're excited.
This is number 2 for me.
They're a band that they've never... It's like Dogfest and Disco for, Merc here. They never cease to amaze me. I'm always excited to see them. I feel like it's like watching Star Wars. I feel like a little kid every time I listen to them or watch their live DVDs or go see them. We'll hopefully have something up about that.
Maybe one of the Jays is joining us?
Yes, actually. Josh Rathbun from J&J's Review Bureau will be joining us for the show. We'll have photos up. We'll try to take some video. It's going to be a good time. Hopefully next week when we record, we're going to be able to talk to you guys about it. It'll be a fun trip. It's my second concert this year. I haven't really seen anything besides Muse. And I know you haven't seen a lot either. It's been
local shows, that's it.
It's been, a busy year so far. Speaking of local shows, now I think about it, I did make an intro that I've been playing at the beginning of the podcast. We'll be putting it on for this. Well, if you send this other song to me, we have a local band, Whiskey Fire. I'm friends with the lead singer, Samantha Cram.
They're really good.
They're a really good band. I don't even know how to describe them.
It's tough. It's really tough.
It's really tough to describe them, but I definitely check them out. They're from, the Rhode Island area, North Kingstown, South County.
It's nice to hear a band from this area that's not deathcore and angry at their ex-girlfriend because she broke up with him and he's sad, but he needs to take it out through punching inanimate objects and making songs that have you whore in it 15 to 30 times.
Yeah, no real message there. But we did talk to them last week, and we will be getting one of their songs to put as our new intro.
Next week or this week. Hopefully we'll be able to debut it. Hopefully we can get the band
maybe Sam, maybe any of the other members on eventually at one point.
We're gonna get them on.
We're gonna get them on. It'll be
Not
exciting.
maybe. We're gonna get it on. We're all gonna do heroin. It's gonna be fantastic. We'll have nail guns around. Heroin and nail guns is a great combination.
That almost sounds like when we used to drink in the backyard and have noodle fights.
That was a good time.
Whatever. I think we broke most of those.
I actually heard one of the best drinking stories earlier tonight. My friend got so drunk, he decided it was a good idea to douse axes in kerosene, light them on fire, and throw them into the forest. You can't beat that.
That's like the epitome of like stupid.
He doesn't remember it though, but he did it, and people have video proof of it.
Why? What?
So far we've talked for 10 minutes. We've achieved nothing, and now we're talking about people throwing burning axes in the forest.
Except we're going to Dream Theater this week. That's really it. Up in Boston.
Well, that's true. And suicide coasters are a bad idea. All right.
And talk about bad ideas. We're going to jump to bad ideas. So, as we all know, Guns N' Roses is doing a reunion. For those who can't see, I'm doing quotation marks because it's like a semi-reunion.
He's doing it really, really well.
Because
these
Axl Rose
quotations are better than what's happening.
wiggled the stick out of his ass to go, hey, Slash, let's do a reunion with, I think, Duff McKagan. I think there's like 3/5 of the fucking band, and they're calling it a reunion. It's not a reunion. It's not. I'm not a big Guns N' Roses fan, but if you're gonna do a reunion, get all the original members.
I thought the only one not in it was Izzy.
Was it Izzy or was it Chris Adler? Was Chris Adler involved?
I know Izzy didn't show up for this. I know Slash is back. Obviously, Axl is back.
No, Axl never left. He turned it into a solo act and took the fucking name. But anywho, on top of him doing that, he's also... Brian Johnson of AC/DC just got fired for having... I don't know if it was vocal problems or it was hearing problems. It's one of the two.
Jim Norton came out and said that him getting let go was a lot harsher than they made it seem.
Which is, I mean, at least they kind of kept it out low, kind of like... But anywho, what they decided to do in the midst of Guns N' Roses doing their semi-reunion tour, AC/DC decides to go, hey, let's get Axl Rose as our frontman. So Axl Rose, and it was announced today, it is now Tuesday, but Monday, the 18th, it was announced that Axl Rose has officially joined AC/DC.
It's probably the stupidest fucking thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Honestly?
I didn't even listen to it because I've heard him sing recently.
I've heard he's terrible live lately.
Yeah, he's horrible. He's like, listen to David Draymond of Disturbed live now.
I don't think he was ever good, though.
Maybe in the beginning, but when I saw them 6 years ago, me and my brother almost walked out of that show. The only time I've ever actually walked out of a show was Dragon Force. And Disturbed almost became the second band to Dragon Force of me walking out of. It was bad.
Disturbed at least could put out a good studio album back in the day.
Yeah, they can. I'm not even a big Guns N' Roses fan. They've gotten really, really overrated in my book.
Yeah, I like them. I have their greatest hits CD, but do I ever listen to it?
No, I don't even have... I think I took them off my iTunes. I just got bored. It's kind of like AC/DC. There's some stuff I like from AC/DC, but when I got into high school and I was getting into college, with all the progressive music I was listening to and all the heavier stuff, it's not that they're bad people. It's just the music is very repetitive.
No, they're terrible people. They like Mr. Pickles.
Well, I mean, Phil...
That satanic, filthy cartoon for the Illuminati.
I mean, Phil Rudd, the drummer, was charged with robbery or assault or something. But the music is so repetitive. TNT and Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap sound like the same exact song. Never mind that you pick up an album of theirs and, let's see, 6 out of the 8 songs have the word rock and roll, the phrase rock and roll in it.
Hey, at least Thunderstruck made a good drinking game. If you like dying.
Yeah. I don't think it's really worth seeing either of these two acts in the next couple of years, if at all, going forward. I think they've both hit their stride. I think the Stones have more energy, the Stones have more going for them right now than those two acts. And I'm not a big Stones fan.
At least they have Paint It Black.
They have Paint It Black, and Mick Jagger can still rock it on stage, even though he looks like he's trying to be 16 years old and sleep with somebody who could be his great-granddaughter. Creepy, but he still has what he had 50 years ago.
That man will never die.
Him and Keith Richards.
They're immortal.
They probably ended up in a Lazarus pit at some point. They probably died, but somehow have been not really. They haven't been cursed. They've just been like, yeah, we don't want you, so you're gonna stay on this planet till it explodes, and then we're gonna drop you on another planet. And even if there's no oxygen on it, we're gonna make sure that your body can withhold whatever gas that covers that planet that you can breathe. So then you live.
You're making that way too elaborate. Let's just say these people shot heroin in their eyes and they're still alive at 98. We'll just go with that. Call it a day.
Demonazi, yeah.
Yeah.
Last week we were talking about how there haven't been a lot of releases announced this year. This year, it's a lot of in the studio, late 2016, possibly, most likely 2017. But the day after that, we went online, and a personal favorite band of ours, Gojira, announced their new album, Magma.
And we are beyond excited.
Oh, this is gold. I've seen Gojira a couple times. You've seen Gojira a couple times. And
I probably saw them before you did.
No, you definitely did. You saw them on the Way of All Flesh tour.
I saw them when Redneck was new.
Not
From Lamb of God.
2005, 2006-ish.
Probably 06,
06,
07,
yeah.
maybe at the latest.
But they're new out, and
People didn't know how to take them either. I remember that show very well. I loved them, but the general consensus until Randy came out and did a song with them was not that good. And I'm like, these guys are really good.
They're different. They're very different.
Yes.
They use screaming vocals, but they don't. They can be very atmospheric. They're very heavy. It's weird. It's weird.
As heavy as they are, they're not like a heavy band that makes you want to
You're not angry.
bang your head, be angry. It's much like when we saw Meshuggah, there wasn't a pit. It was very almost dance clubby.
Yeah, and I can sit there and relax to Gojira. The front woman of Whiskey Fire said the same thing. She just relaxes from listening to Gojira. And their lyrical themes aren't like revolt, take over the system that like a lot of metal acts do. They're more earthly, conservationist kind of.
Toxic Garbage Island or whatever.
Toxic Garbage, Flying Whales. There you go. There's right there. And they seem like down-to-earth people. I'm actually really curious because last year, I hope I'm saying this right, the Duplantier brothers, the drummer and the frontman, their mother died last year. So I'm curious as to how that moment in their lives is going to affect this album. There's going to be something that's really deep in that album.
Much like how Randy wrote about his jail time in the newest album.
Yes. Yes, but Magma is coming out June 17th of this year. You will be hearing reviews from us. And I know the Review Realm will be doing reviews as well.
And Lamb of God fans, expect Randy to sing a lot more on the next album. I can't wait for it, honestly.
I was shocked with what song was that?
Overlord?
Overlord. I was like, he sings, but then you hear it and you're like, this is one of the few bands that can do the transition where they don't sound like they're selling out.
I still love mixed vocals.
No, I like them too, but some bands, they do it, and it really just depends on the band. It's not the whole concept of switching over to cleans or switching over to one or the other. It depends on the band, the type of music, the style of metal, and how you approach it.
Absolutely.
Kind of like how Mastodon went from, a lot of the screaming, a lot of the growling early on, and now I don't even think that even exists in their music anymore. But they can still put out a solid album.
The last time they yelled was, I think, Siberian Divide on Blood Mountain. And it was, like the only song they even yelled on in that entire album.
I mean, I can think of... the second track off of Crack the Sky. Not really kind of more like yelling.
It wasn't like...
Right, but it wasn't like anything off of Leviathan or like March of the Fire Ants.
That intro is amazing.
It's still amazing. You know, so were there any other releases coming out this year that?
The the redid version of Master of Puppets where they take the Saint Anger snare drum and put it over Master of Puppets.
Oh boy, yeah.
It's better than Spielberg messing with Star Wars, from what I heard. You know that lovely Saint Anger snare drum?
Yeah, I mean, at least it didn't have like excerpts from the Lulu album with Lou Reed talking over it.
He's dead now.
But they could also like cut like sections of anything off of Lulu and put it on there, which I'm not giving them ideas. Don't listen to me, If Metallica is listening out there, please don't listen to me. That's a bad idea. Just make this new album.
If you're listening, Metallica, we still love your old stuff. But at least Hetfield never robbed a pharmacy.
No, nobody. I think they had their, their moments when they were younger. I know he was an alcoholic, but they've cleaned up.
There's a difference between being an alcoholic and purposely robbing a fucking pharmacy.
Yeah,
Which the old singer of Dead by Wednesday actually did. And got caught. Because he decided, instead of going home or wherever he was going to stash his drugs, to get high out of school and got caught. Less than a mile away from the said pharmacy he broke into.
Was that locally? I know.
Yeah, it was in Connecticut.
Connecticut. And I've actually never heard of this band until you mentioned them earlier.
That's because musically they're good, but Pharmacy Boy is absolutely a fucking terrible vocalist. And I actually showed a little bit of you to them earlier.
Yeah, the vocal style does even... I mean, no, it's nothing. It almost sounds like if you were to take some of those hardcore, straight-edge, like, speakers/screamers and threw them over something like King. Like, that's what I'm thinking. They have more of just a straight-up heavy metal, maybe a little sludgy style musically. Vocally, it's like, we're going to stick to your guns or just some...
Did you actually start listening to King?
Oh, yeah, I have that first album.
I didn't know you listened to them. They're one of my favorite bands.
I mean, I saw them live with Megadeth.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, they were good.
That guy has the perfect voice for that band, though. It's like a heavy, sludgier Soundgarden voice.
If anyone wants to hear a good band, definitely check out King, Kyng. Definitely
I love their second album.
I haven't listened to it. I guess
Burn the Serum.
That's going on my
One of the few albums I bought day of last year, and I don't regret it.
I'm gonna have to throw it on my iPod. But yeah, Day by Wednesday, I guess with their new singer, is he in jail still, or is he...
I honestly don't know.
They just kick him out.
Well, the arrest is not so much why we're talking about this as their new album comes out next month.
Yeah, well, that's why I'm asking.
And I only heard about this a couple nights ago. They have a huge collection of guest star vocalists for this new album. It's kind of like the Nuclear Blast All-Stars album they did a couple years ago, where they had like Speed of Soilwork, Christian of X-Scar Symmetry. You know, they all did their guest vocals, but instead of just like kind of like an all-star group of random bands, it's all of Dead by Wednesday minus the singer, and then they have the singers come in. You have Brian from Shadows Fall, huge household name. Carly of Candiria, which is a band that you probably need to check out if you haven't heard of. AK from Flotsam and Jetsam. Waylon Rivas, who used to be in Mushroomhead until Mushroomhead became fucking Jerry Springer over the last year or two. I don't know if you heard anything about that.
No.
Chris Keys, who's in Dive Bomber, used to be in Gargantuan Soul, is actually a Connecticut-based metal band. I actually saw them open up for Mushroomhead. The guy likes to paint his body in like this weird fucking like full body paint. Kind of out there. Paul from Diecast, who, as I mentioned last week, they're coming out with a new album soon. So it's a really, really good mix of singers. Yeah. And all of them are good. I know every single person in that lineup. I don't know if I have an album for every one of them. Yeah,
I know John Ark, he was the original singer of Fate's Warning, which they're another band that's actually based from Connecticut. They actually just announced their new album I'm excited for. But they, it's... to be able to drop your singer, not have a real big name for yourself, and get all these... I don't want to say huge, but these, like, moderate, like, above cult following style band members to come and sing on your EP is...
And they did get a full-time singer for touring in the next album.
Has that been announced who it is?
Rob Kelly. I don't remember what band he was in. I believe he was actually the guest star of one of those songs, but I guess they liked him enough, or he persevered enough, where they're actually going to keep him.
I'm actually kind of curious now.
And this could be big for Dead by Wednesday. They could become a household name if they have the proper singer.
Dead by Wednesday. Let's see. Sorry, we're just doing some quick research. Yeah, we can edit it out. This will be quick. I'm just curious about who that is. I don't think they have it. They don't have it up here yet. But when we find out, or if anybody else knows, let us know.
Or don't. Just laugh that you know an answer that we don't have.
Which actually, now I look at it, and I went to their Facebook page. They're actually playing the Palladium on the 8th.
Are they really?
Yes.
They are a local band. They are from Connecticut, so they probably do tour the area quite frequently.
But yeah, Dead by Wednesday. What's the date on that?
Next month. I think the 16th or the 20th. Something like that.
It's probably the 20th.
I just caught my eye last night because I was actually doing a bunch of research on Mushroomhead. I didn't realize that they basically are Jerry fucking Springer now.
Yeah, what did they do?
Well, they kicked out the original keyboardist Schmatz, who was one of my favorite members. They already kicked out Pig Venus and Gravy a couple years ago. Gravy because he was kind of straight edge, didn't like to do a lot of drugs. Pig Venus because I guess, according to the singer, basically he was punching the time clock, doing a 9 to 5, not really bringing much to the table. They never really said why they released Schmatz, although their new album that he was part of had pretty much next to no keyboards. And being an old school Mushroomhead fan, they were really heavily keyboard based back in the day. And now they're just like, I want to say generic metal band, but they're nowhere near as creative as they used to be.
Just like I don't want to say like a new metal industrial, straightforward, nothing original.
Yeah. They don't have that special thing that made me like them. And a lot of people like them too.
When I saw them, they were actually. I think I enjoyed them. I saw them at Mayhem Festival, and the headlines at Mayhem, it was Trivium, Ask in Alexandria, which I called dinner because me and John Lipinski walked out for dinner at that time. Avenged Sevenfold and Korn, and they actually could have been on the main stage.
They are still a good band live. They still have Jeffrey Nothing, who's always been singing for them since the beginning. Skinny, the drummer, who's also like the owner of the band, and the person kicking all these people out. Everything I've heard, he's kind of a dick. Stitch, the like samplers / like keyboard guy, he's been in for the band a long time. I guess supposedly when Schmatz, the keyboardist guy, got kicked out, he wasn't supposed to be talking to anybody. The singer Waylon, who was the guy that replaced J-Man, who came back against a fucking drama, I guess was talking to Schmatz, and Stitch ratted to Skinny, and a fistfight ensued, and Waylon also got kicked out. So they went from 3 singers to 2. Oh no.
Oh wow, 2 singers. What would they ever do?
And I do like Waylon, don't get me wrong. Obviously J-Man was the original, like growly singer. It's just, I was obsessed with Mushroomhead in high school, and like there's very few members left.
It sucks when your band, when a band that you grew up on like implodes like that, and they just don't become anything like they used to be.
And don't get me wrong, they had a couple good songs on the new album, but I want the keyboards, man. I want the feels, not the fucking straightforward metal song after the straightforward metal song that, yeah, is above average by far, but still not extremely different.
Yeah, not different at all.
And I know I mentioned Candiria earlier. Do you know them at all?
Candiria. I've heard the name.
Singer is Carly Coma. They used to be very heavy, and they actually kind of was another one of those bands that switched to mostly singing vocals. I love them. It was a band that I listened to a lot 10 years ago, and they are like a fusion jazz metal band. And in their album, What Doesn't Kill You, their album cover is actually the van that they were in that they got ejected from and almost died from when a 18-wheeler fell asleep at the wheel and basically rammed into their van.
Death metal, rap metal, alt metal, metalcore, mathcore, hardcore, punk.
Yes, they've changed their sound drastically.
That's I'm gonna have to grab that when we're done.
It's just one of those super, super underrated bands.
I haven't listened to a lot of music anymore. I just need time. I don't have time, but I'm always looking for something that's gonna catch my eye and want me to put my headphones in. I don't put them in and work anymore. I just work. And that's very depressing for somebody who He always
I
listens
think
to music.
you'll like them a lot. Again, they have different sound every. They just released like their first song, and it was like a 2-3 song EP or something. I think last year.
Okay.
But that was the first new music in 6 years because that wreck really fucked with them. The album that came after it was amazing. And like I said, the album cover was the fucking van that got totaled. They had one other album, but because some members quit, the guy that owned their record company wouldn't release it, and basically held it hostage for 2 years. They finally got the rights to it. They released it 2-3 years later, and like I said, they haven't done really much since.
We'll have to put these all up on the YouTube channel so you guys can kind of look them up, and the Facebook page when we post these this week.